أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما. At first, I want to praise Allah Rabbul Alamin, that Allah Rabbul Alamin give us the tawfiq to come and then attain to this Jalsa, especially in this month of December when is the year end. Major of these people of this society, which are the Australians, they are planning for vacations, they are going here and there, and also on top of it, today is like a Friday night, one of the night they want to enjoy the most of the worldly desires, and Allah Rabbul Alamin give us the tawfiq and the opportunity and also the ability. These few of us, of this whole country, or whole Brisbane, to come and join to the noble gathering where the Quran and Sunnah will be discussed, inshallah. So with my bottom of heart, I want to say Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. On the same tone, I want to give my gratitude and salam to our beloved Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahabis, that means the companions, and the Tabi and Tabiins, and then the researchers, and all those things that came after him. That after 1400 years ago, it's not 1-2 years, not 100-200 years, it's like 1400 years after the death of beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we are having the Quran and the Sunnah such a nice way through the contributions of so many scholars and the Mujahideen and all these things. So again, I want to say Alhamdulillah for that one. The topic that was chosen for tonight, or the second session, was a very interesting one, which was like the spiritual journey of an Australian Muslim. And the presenter was Dr. Akram Hussain, who is the chairman of this masjid, and he have already prepared like all the slides and everything. He was ready, but unfortunately from today morning, he was like vomiting a lot, that he had to pass on to me and all these things. So I'll be using the same slide as he, and then getting the knowledge of him that we have to do. Because, and the title of it from here is very important for us, because many of times we come to a dilemma. Am I an Australian first, or am I a Muslim first? As if like it's like a Australia versus Muslim, that it cannot go together, or whether it can be. So that's something that we want to go through from today's. So first of all, before go through, I put this slide as a bit side note, because this is something that our beloved Prophet, he wanted to do as a dua. So I want to do with that one, that, oh Allah, benefit me with what you have taught me, and teach me that which benefit me, and then increase me in knowledge. So just to make that dua, and then to start on it. And the slides was his comments of our Dr. Akram Hussain, but I obviously do agree with all of them, so I just going. And the first thing is like, to be honest, it's a very blessing that Allah Rabbul Alamin give us the both, that He made us Australian. When I'm saying an Australian, it means that those we are residing is Australian, because I know like when you're saying Australian, it can be like Australian citizen, it can be Australian PR, and it can be like Australian who just migrated. But as an Australian, when we are saying in this lecture, it means that whoever he is residing in Australia, we term it as Australian for tonight's lecture. So, to be honest, it's a blessing that we are an Australian and a Muslim. Why is that? As an Australian, we can benefit a lot. Can you guys tell me like what are the benefits you guys can have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Security, healthcare.
Security and healthcare. Free land. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful weather.
Beautiful weather. Yes.
Good food.
Good food. Oh, okay. Or I'll say more like fresh food. Yeah.
Education.
Education. Okay. Okay.
Freedom to practice our religion.
Freedom. Okay. How about in the those who are a bit far? Like, what do you guys think?
Freedom expressions.
Freedom of expression. Yep. How about in the back? Imran, who's like a bit new in Australia. Any benefit?
Friendly attitude.
Friendly attitude. Oh, okay. Yeah. You guys have already put all those things, but we have listed like all of those things. And I'll go through that so that we give that shukr, that what are the things that we can get in. It's like a relatively peaceful country. And then think back what happening in our home countries, in the Muslim countries, and all these things. And you'll be finding it's not a relatively, it's like hugely peaceful country comparing to the many part of the world. Then enjoy certain amount of freedom. We can have a loss of freedom, of speech and all these things. Enjoy the fruit of democracy. We can have that also. Social welfares, which I don't need to mention anymore. High standards of education, which he was also mentioning. High standard of healthcare, which is also one of the things that's number one. And then enjoy religious freedom. Many of us may not feel that, but just imagine that we are a minority in a country. At the same time, if we think of like a minority in a like a Muslim country, like those who are like Hindus or Buddhists or many things, many of the Muslim countries, they might not feel the religious freedom that we think of getting here. And then the last is like considered to be land of opportunity. We can have the land of opportunity.
Important point is missing, that justice.
Justice, okay.
Very good position rather than the Muslim countries.
Yeah.
If you look and think,
Yeah.
justice.
So justice is another thing. Yeah, and we can add on. Okay. So these are the benefits that we get from being an Australian. How about benefit, or what are the things that as a Muslim we have to fulfill our duty towards? First thing is like we have to be a what? A servant. A servant of Allah Rabbul Alamin. When we say like a servant, it many times feels like a servant is something like a low category. Like we always want to be the boss. Yeah, the bossy part, or we want to be the CEO or the captain or something. But servant is something in the group. But if we look around as a human being, as a society, everyone is a servant. He might be feel free, but he might be the servant of the culture. He might feel the free, but he want to be the servant of some sort of like today's some sort of episodes and all these things, or he want to be servant of like gaining more money or more money. So everyone gets to become a servant of one sort or another. But we are becoming servant of the true God or the real God. That means we know like what the situation of the human being, and we can that be. And as he was also saying that we should like fulfill our duty. Like what are the duties we have? As like we have to remember the Shahada, and also that we are the follower of Prophet Muhammad. That means if we all can remember the Shahada, is like what is the Shahada? La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That means that there is not. It didn't start with like there is only God. It started with there is no God, and then except Allah Rabbul Alamin. That means it's first removes all the falsehood and then comes to this point, and then we are the follower of our Prophet Muhammad. Okay. Now I'll go as a stage wise. Like as a Muslim, it comes like narrowly personally. That's only me. That's like only oneself. That should be mine. So that means like refine yourself as an Australian Muslim. Many a times we are not like proud of becoming Australian Muslims, and we wanted to like hide ourselves. Like if you give in an office place, give a salam, that some people will be shocked why you give salam. But we have to be proud of our identity, because identity is something that really tells us who we are and where we come from. Then it's like reform yourself as an Australian Muslim. If there is any shortcomings, you are aware of, because the last point that will come is that we are as like an ambassador of Islam. So being an ambassador of Islam, we have to get our like all the shortcomings, because we are representing the Islam to them, and then have to have like the outlook of others, and then the respect of others. One of the story I want to share with you is it's a real true story, and to be honest, it's a story of Umar. And this Umar it's not his story, but his family story. It's not Umar radiallahu anhu, it's the story of my son Umar. And that happened to one of the forefather, and it's basically in my wife's side. And it happened almost like 10 generations before him. And there was a guy, his name was Shahbazpur. and I dreamed that I can be someone like him. When I'm saying dream, it's like something that's big, that's why I wanted to be something like that, that he have achieved and he have done. So what he did, that I wanted to dream like that way. He did almost the same thing that I did. And that once he migrated to a non-Muslim country. At that time, when he was somewhere in the Middle East, Shahbaz, in fact his full name is now Sheikh Shahbaz. So what he did, that he migrated from Middle East to a non-Muslim free land, similar to Australia, but at that time it was the India, or to be honest, more closely in Bangladesh. And to be more focusedly, it's on Brahmanbaria. Those we know, and we know like from the name that more Hindu people were there, and the high level of educated Hindus were there because the Brahmins were there. So he moved there, and he stayed there. His generation stayed there. Almost the same as almost I and my family we need to do. But there he did one thing different. He spread the Islam. He gave proper dawah. And now what happened then? Today, if you go to the Bangladesh map, and if you search there in the Brahmanbaria, now there is an upazila which has 19 villages. That whole upazila is named as Shahbazpur. And there are like generation after generation, like even like in my wife's side, they say like up to 8 generations there were people who always called like Sheikh something, because that Sheikh Shahbaz from his name legacy, that all came in. That means that one person that makes difference. So that's why when I'm saying that oneself and all these things, that's why this comes like that only it will make sense when we do a true ambassador of Islam, and that if we remove all the shortcomings that we have. Because our colleagues in our offices, in our neighbors and all these things, they're always looking that, okay, these Muslims, they're doing this bad. If we do anything good, okay, they are doing this good. Why they are doing this good? Because it might be their religion that's told them. And that goes in the circles. So after this oneself, then it comes the second that's important. One of the ways, the best ways we can do it is through our salah, that we can overcome ourselves. And obviously one of the practical and leading example is like the place that we are sitting is like the Slack Mosque. Here when we have that one, we didn't only have like salah, we through this Slack, now we have like almost like Muslim society there, that the people we are here, we are gathering and all these things. Then we can, obviously when we have these masajid and all these things, we throw imams and rightly guided imams, we can also guide the community where the Muslim community goes through. And then obviously we can, through madrasas, we can have the then education, and also the adult education and the tarbiyah. So many these things comes in through this masajid, and all these things comes in. So after oneself, then the second that most comes in is our family. Okay. Before I go to this slide, again I wanted to share a story with you. And how many of you know about the Sheikh Yasir Qadi? He's from where? Well, he's from America, right? He's from America. So but do you know him as a American? Why you know him? He's from America, which is not an Islamic country, right? Or so-called Muslim country. It's a non-Islamic country. But do you know him for fashion? Do you know him as a model or an actor? Why? Because he's a renowned Islamic scholar. He's a renowned Islamic scholar. Though it's not a country, America is not a country of religion or Muslim, but through the technology or whatever the things is, he also become a sheikh, and he become an Islamic scholar. And I was listening to one of his lectures, and which he gave in ICNA. Okay, anyone know about ICNA or ICNA annual conference they have? And it's now going for like 40th time. I think this year was like 42 time, and it's like a whole America big gathering. And they are saying like only as a volunteers, they had like 400 volunteers. and at least there is like 1,000 people that's attend this one, and he's giving this speech.
20,000 messages.
20,000 people there, and he's giving their speech there, and the topics was like how he became the sheikh, like in such a society, how he's sheikh, and the things that he told. The first thing is told like today the place that you're seeing me, that I've become an Islamic scholar and all these things. Obviously, the first reason is because of my Allah Rabbul Alamin, His will. And the second, if there is anyone who's the reason behind me, is my parents. Is my parents. And then he gone through like what are the things that his parents were practiced. And then he told that because his parents came from Pakistan and they were like involved in Pakistan movement and all these things. And then he came here, and then he gave us few points like what he did. And like one of the points that he really mentioned there was that every day after Asr prayer, every day his father used to do that. They have to go get a Quran and have to read tafsir and then have to read a hadith, and that they have to do every day. Can anyone that something that we also want to practice in our organization IPDC? What we call it? We call it family meeting.
Family meeting.
Those who are a bit outside in our organization IPDC, we always encourage something that we call family meeting. That every day or at least regularly, that we in our own family we at least go through an Quran and go through an hadith. And this is something that was followed in his family and all these things. And that was really remarkable. That the same society all things. But I end of story that which really remarked me of his rise and all these things. That like when I was like hearing his lecture, and then I was saying to Omar, and I was saying that this lecture he's delivering to like over 1,000 of people, and in front of over 1,000 of people, he's praising his parents. And as a parent, if you see your child doing something like that, I thought like that's the best thing I can ever dream of. And knowing that in countries like in Australia and all these things where normally many of times the media just portray as your parents as your like enemy, here someone that you have really raised that he's praising in front of all these things. So telling all these things, then if we come through the slide, is like to raise our children and all these things. For that, first thing that we all have to do is that we have to be the role model ourselves. Because if children do whatever I follow, if I go to masajid, he will also follow that one. If I drink water standing, he will also learn those things and all these things. So we are the best guide for them, and also like we have to learn like the parenting methods and all these things. So go forward, okay. And then Dr. Akram, he also mentioned like 3 things that we also need to mention to our children that he feels important, and also that is like the haram, halal, and also the interest. Because we live in a society, there are many things that's like are recognized as alright, say for alcohol. If for older people, if they drink or consume alcohol, it's alright. If you eat pork, it's alright to them. And if you have some riba or interest, it's very much alright to this society. So we have to take ourselves like how we teach to our children on all these things. And in this world, we also have to teach them very emerging things that's like they don't go to the become target as like an extremist, or they don't become terrorists, and all those things. We are the one that have to guide them like so that they can go to that far also. And also in this extreme, they might be addicted to, unfortunately, to pornography and all these things. So these are the things that we have to, as a family, we have to set a bar like, okay, when we teach them, is it like this type of thing they learn from their friends, or we as a parents take the lead role to teach them and all these things. Okay, so first came to the family, our personal oneself, and then comes to the family, and then we will progress to the society. And as a Muslim, our nearest society becomes our Muslim community. So we have to also take care of our Muslim community. When we are saying like take care of, it's not only just preaching them, but also helping them to come and establish here, and helping them when they have need and all these things. And also in the same tone, we have to serve our Muslim community and also to our non-Muslim neighbors and all these things. So in a complete way, so we have to represent in the whole society in a large. So to give them the right of society. Now when we come to the society, it becomes like a big shell. So the few sides that we have is like how we allocate to the society. The first thing that comes in the dawah, that we have to convey the message to them. So we have to convey to the message to our Muslim brothers, because many times it comes like when they come to this community of Australian, they might forget how to practice Islam and all these things. So this is something that we have to regularly tell to the community for Muslim. So if I go to the in Quran, Allah will say that invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in the ways that are best. So that when we are giving the dawah, we can also keep that in remind them, because it might be that someone in Australia Council, he came and he got lost, and he is now very firm from Islam. And if we just go, hey, you're doing this haram, you're doing that bad and all these things, why you're not, you're praying salah and all these things, he'll be moved more far from Islam. So if we use our hikmah and all this blessing, then he might come closer to us and all these things. And then in Bukhari, the hadith came where Allah say like, I command you, tell on my behalf, even if it is only one verse from the Quran. So even if it's a short note, we try to spread this among the non-Muslims. And in many instances, it came that the people that that know some verse, there might be some people that he is practicing less, but he gives to dawah, and then the person that he was giving dawah, he now is doing more spread. Okay, on this context, I also tell a story. How many of you know about Hamza Georges?
Yes.
Who is it?
He's a Greek.
Okay.
His father was a Christian and he
Yes.
became Muslim
Okay.
when he was in probably mid-20s.
Okay. Okay. So he is a revert. And why he is famous now?
Because he does a lot of dawah program.
So he is a revert, and now he does lots of dawah, and he also now one of the key guys who do a lots of debates of Islam versus Christianity and all these things. So he's now a key preacher and all these things. But the thing that I wanted to share with you is like how he became Muslim, and to show that like how this activity does. He was introduced to Islam in his childhood, on when he becomes education. Through what? In his schoolmate, there was one guy who was doing very well in the exam, and he was Muslim. So his school friend, and so he saw that school friend is like, sometimes he's like hiding somewhere. And then he got curious, like, why is this guy hiding or somewhere? Like, is some lost? And then one day he was like a big spy. And then he found that he went to a closet and that guy is praying. Because that time, because Muslim is not common and all these things, so he's praying in the closet and all these things. So he became more curious, like why he's doing something like that, prostrating and all these things. So then he asked like about Islam and all these things. And then the Muslim fellow, the Muslim friend of him, gave him some books and leaflet, and that's it. So Hamza Georges, he was reading those books, and he got very curious and interested, and he then started more and more reading. By this time, he had left the school, and he has lost his contact with his Muslim friend. But he was reading lots of Islamic stuff and all these things. He's reading all these things, but he didn't revert it yet. Then he went to a job, and then he was busy with the job and all this thing, and then it was a bit aside. One day it happened is like they had annual dinner party, and then he was struck by a girl. And so the girl was asking him like, can you get a drink for me? So he asked, like, what's your name? So the girl said, the name she said, it was a Muslim name. So Hamza Georges was like, okay, are you Muslim? Yeah, you're a Muslim. So then the girl said, like, do you have any problem with that? No, I don't have a problem. So I'm bringing you a drink. So normally when they're saying drink, they're saying that an alcoholic drink. Then he thought, like, because she's a Muslim, so I shouldn't bring any alcohol. I should bring some normal juice. So he brings some orange juice. And when he presented to her, she was like, why, what is this? Then he said, like, because you're a Muslim, so you cannot consume alcohol, so I bring it there. Then the girl said, like, are you a sheikh or mufti or something? Because you're doing something like this. And then he was telling me, no, I'm a Greek, I'm not even a Muslim, so and all this thing. And at the end, the whole night they spent just discussing on Islam. And curiously enough, Hamza Georges, being a non-Muslim, he was preaching to the girl being a Muslim. And they have few sessions like that one. And they like become few sessions of this one that where she was taught Islam by a non-Muslim, Hamza Georges. So this goes on, this goes on. Then suddenly Hamza Georges lost her. And he couldn't find him anywhere. He was asking here and then he couldn't find him. He was like very disturbed, like, what happened? And then somehow he got the phone number of his home. And then he called that number, and then her father got that phone. And then Hamza said, like, I'm very desperate, like, what happened to her, whether I have anything wrong or anything, so I want to talk to her. So her father gave it to her, and she just said only thing, look, I now do perfect porda or hijab, and what I understand, like, I cannot talk to a non-mahram like you. And they just left it. So Hamza Georges, being a non-Muslim, he almost made or reverted a Muslim to a Muslim. But still, he didn't revert it. Still, he was non-Muslim. Still, he didn't say Shahada, doing so much change. And then life again goes on, goes on. Then one day, he again met that school friend. He met the school friend. And then they were like, oh, buddy, where have you been, what's your story, and all these things, and they were cheating and all these things. Then the Muslim friend asked him, you remember that I give you like a Islamic pamphlet? Did you did anything? Then Hamza said, oh, you know what happened, it's like, it's a long story, and he was like telling us all this and blah, 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 that I met a girl and all this thing and this and so then the Muslim, did you say your Shahada? He was like, no, I didn't do that. Why? And then that Muslim guy like really forced him, and then at the end he became the Muslim. Alhamdulillah. And the interesting part was when he became the Muslim, that you were saying in the biography that after just taking Shahada, he just straight went to Urdu area, made the perfect Urdu, and then he came and was making the perfect namaz. And everyone was surprised, like how the reverted guy can know everything of Islam. The reason I'm telling you the story, that after that, Hamza Georges says, like, if you go to YouTube channels and all these things, he's now doing all sort of debates and all sort of lectures. He had an amazing lecture of, which is called Dawa Power by Al-Kawthar Institute, and that when that course was done in Melbourne, it was like houseful. People were sitting even in the steps. They were sitting even in the steps. It became such a powerful course. Now recall this. The reason I was telling you the whole story is that that Muslim friend that he did, he just distributed a pamphlet. Don't he's getting all the reward of Hamza Georges to his account now?
Yes.
Yes, isn't it?
Yes.
But to me, the more shocking is, or the more interesting is, you know that the Muslim friend, who is he? He is an Bangladeshi, a second generation Bangladeshi.
Sorry, what is he?
He's an Bangladeshi. He's from Bangladesh. So, to inspire all of you and to our kids that a little different, a little change, a little word of mouth, a little pamphlet, it would make a huge difference in this society. And that's always give us the motivation to do dawah and all these things. I'm closing on this because I know like people are, it's after dinner and then it's very like, so I'm also closing it down soon. Then after becoming that, giving the dawah, then the second thing that comes is that we have to be organized, because today, even if we look at today's Qiyamul, it cannot be like one-man show, so that some people have to be doing cooking, and even now some people are now doing cleaning, and then some people are giving lectures, some people are like distributing the pamphlets and all these things. So you need a group of people to do that. And that's why you need to have an organization or an umbrella so that we can all work together. So I cannot like abbreviate like how is these things. So that's why we established like halakas and all these things so that we can work together and then we can have the brotherhood among ourselves. Even the interesting, what our beloved Prophet says, which is claims that he said like stay with Jama or with an organization, because the wolf devours the goat that run away. You know, like when, if you think of like a wolf who is trying to catch a goat which is in a herd, which one he can catch? Can he catch the one that is in the center? That is in the middle? No. There's the one that is far away, which is in the far away. So if we don't want to be caught by that wolf or the shaitan, so shall we be in the side or shall we stay in the middle? We should stay also in the middle. Then on the same note, there is another hadith which is very interesting in the Mishkat Sharif, is like shaitan is man's wolf, just like there is goat's wolf who hunt the goats that stay aloof or run away or are separated from the herd. So same thing is like Allah Rasul is saying the last thing. And the last hadith which I am very curious to say, that is like stay with al-jama and stay away from divisions. This is because shaitan is with one individual but stay away from two. So if you are single, shaitan is with you, and if you're at least with two, shaitan goes together. So there's the hadith comes in. Then after the dawah, and also so first came the dawah and then comes the organization, then it's like tarbiyah. That means we have to improvise ourselves, we have to purify ourselves, because we are acting as an ambassador in this country. So we have to do ourselves, and in our organization, which is in IPDC, we have the personal development profile. So that's we call PDP, so that you have to keep it in every day, and then we devote ourselves in tahajjud prayer, and that's one of the reasons why we have this Qiyamul, because after the lectures we don't go home. We're supposed not to go home. We encourage people to stay one night at least to the masjid to have a feel what is feel to do the Qiyamul, and that so that you don't stop the Qiyamul here, but you can practice that in your home regularly, inshallah. And then we can have the Nafal prayer, fasting there. And all these things, so to purify ourselves. The last thing that comes in, and which is also very much important, which is like the help of the community. Okay, so we can have the community as a social welfare, because Australia is a social welfare community, and also if you look at the people, they always want to help each other in a way. But we Muslims are supposed to be more advanced in the welfare, but in many cases it's very unfortunate that we are not that much. Even if we look at our seerah from our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that in his Meccan time, in his early revelation, there came that one lady who was like passing by, and she was carrying like a heavy load. So Prophet Muhammad, he came and then he was like, "Can I help you?" And then the lady said, "Okay, you help me. You're a young boy, you're very good," and all this thing. So when they were like passing through, then the lady on his own, she was saying like, "Do you know why I'm leaving this this land of Makkah?" So why? There came a man named Muhammad, and what he's doing, he's destroyed all the peace in this land, and he's doing this and that, and so she was saying all the bad thing about him. But our Prophet, he remained calm and silent. He never did anything. So at the end, then when the lady reached her destination, the old lady reached her destination, then she was surprised, like, like there is something surprise happened. I was talking to you all the time, but I never asked your name. So what's your name? And the lady said, what you said? Your name Muhammad? So you're the same guy as him? So if you are the same, then obviously I'll go back to the place. So with this welfare and this good behavior, that's the best form of dawah and all these things. So we are all encouraged to do that. And Prophet ﷺ said that on the judgment day, Allah shall ask a person, I was sick and you did not come to see me. And then I didn't ask. I asked you for food and you did not feed me. Third time he will also say, I asked you for water to drink and you did not bring me the water. And then after listening to the answer, he shall say, you would have found the reverse today when you would have served one with these needs. So if we serve like anyone who needs anyone who's sick, we serve them today, or anyone who needs food, we give him some feed, and anyone who needs water, we serve them. Today we might think it's a loss, but on that day, when there is nothing, that will be a reward to us. So with that, I almost finished my last slide, but I want to finish you with a story of our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And that thing came at the time of in Medina. And it happened that we know that at the time when our Prophet came, that the Muslims were not that much rich, and many a times they were in hunger. The one day our Prophet, beloved Prophet, he came out. He was very hungry. He cannot stay there in the house. He's so hungry. He came out, and on the way he saw Abu Bakr, our first Khalifa, and when he looked his face, he understood he's also very hungry. He took him. He took Abu Bakr. Go with me. And on the way, when these two were walking, he saw Umar, or second Khalifa. So the best three people. And Umar radiallahu was also very hungry. So our Prophet, he saw his Umar's face and he understood that it's a face of hunger. He took them, and they were all walking. And our beloved Prophet, he was all worried that Abu Bakr, Umar, they are all hungry. What's the situation or the status of this thing? So they went to a Sahaba's house. And so the Sahabi, he gave them some water to drink, and some dates to eat. So after a few days of thirst and hunger, so our three great people, like our beloved Prophet, that Abu Bakr, Umar, they were having some water and some dates. And then, subhanAllah, our beloved Prophet said, you see this date? This is also a ni'mah, our blessings, and you will be asked for. And then think back to us. Tonight, at the night time, there is no sun. No worries, we have the lights. It might be hot today. No worries, we have aircon. It might be that we didn't cook any food. No worries, we have biryani in the masjid. You want to know any Islamic knowledge or anything? No worries, there is internet. Anything we can ask for, anything can we think of, is all in our hand, in our grip. Don't you think these are all ni'mah which will be asked for? Don't you feel the worry of this one? On top of it, we are living in the world. On the same time, when we are enjoying all these blessings, there are lots of hundreds and thousands of Muslim brothers like us. They are not giving even blessing deeds. They are worried that whether they will be alive on this night or not. On the same time, same time zone. Don't you think we should ask for? Keep that in the mind. I pray to Allah Rabbul Alamin that first of all, me can keep that under mind, so that I can do all the things that we have discussed today, so that we can become a perfect Australian, and more importantly, perfect Muslims. With that, I want to end my lecture. So if anything I have said good is from Allah Rabbul Alamin, and if anything I have said wrong, may Allah forgive me. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.